Hey guys, I'm Rick, and we are streaming armor smithing, blacksmithing, something like that. It is super cold here. Welcome in, Dr. Optimal. Hey, Corwin. Yeah, I was having a little bit of issues with my internet quickly there. I think it's all right. I'm hoping it's all right. But we might get a little bit of wavering here and there. Fingers crossed, nothing crazy happens. I need to check my cameras real fast. Give me half a second. I'm all by my lonesome today, and so I want to make sure that I'm, doing the thing I have to do like normally. Unfortunately, I have to like get up and wander around the computer and whatnot. Hey, Michael. Welcome, welcome. All right. I guess I don't need my microphones immediately in front of me. That can go there. All right. And phone, that's probably not completely necessary either. Okay. Streaming from the secret armor bunker, something like that. Today we are back in my jewelry and silversmithing shop. I do need to get a few more lights down here because I think things are a little bit on the darker side. Got a ring light up there, but I don't really have any good like film lights like we do in our regular shop. We only have the one in our regular shop, but it makes a heck of a difference. So we are going to slowly add into this shop and make it a little bit more usable and a little bit nicer. Um, so yeah, we are back here in the silversmithing section. So today we are going to be continuing to work on the decoration of our pauldron. So last Monday, we got a little bit of the ridge, the central ridge done. You can kind of see that a little bit there, I think. So today we're actually going to square this up a little bit more. Right now we kind of have like a diagonal, and we really want this to be like a right angle at that top. So we are going to shove the bottom ridge in or inward, and we are also going to be starting on doing some of the edge work. So, and we're unstable again. Are we losing frames or are we just telling me it's unstable? We are dropping a bunch of frames. This might have something and everything to do with where my internet is. Apologies for the instability. But I think I'll have to do something about that. All right. So we've got some ads. Whoops. Trying to do some stuff real fast with the OBS. Give me just a second and I will see if I can't fix that. For whatever reason, every time it like okay, it was choppy before, it's less so now. Welcome in, Mahalo. Thank you so much for joining us. So yeah, I think the internet might be a little bit choppy right now. I have one of my Wi-Fi nodes is directly above me, right over there, but it's probably having a little bit of a trouble coming down through the floor. And there's another node like way over there, and so it's kind of a little bit iffy. I think it's trying to find what node is going to be the best node. So, like I said, we are going to continue working on these ridges on our armor, and hopefully we can get a decent amount of this done. On Friday, I have plans on working on the Mudhorn emblem that we're going to affix onto the piece of steel. We're going to do some piercing, which is a technique where I'm pretty much sawing out material and creating like a little emblem that we can stick on here. Are we on ads? I don't know. Yeah, it might be sweeping between them. See, that's what I think is going on right now. Is it's not figuring out which one is the most effective node. I think that there is a chance that in the future I might be able to get a wired connection down here, which would be much better. But for the moment, we're still on Wi-Fi. Let's see. Like I said, I don't know if I'm in ads yet. I think I am or I think I'm probably done with ads. So fingers crossed you guys can see what's going on. All right. So a little bit of kind of like housekeeping stuff. Today I posted a video on YouTube. It is for the axe head. Now, this video has been delayed so many times, and I'm really sorry for that. But we finally got it up there. We finally got it handled and worked out as best as we can. It's not perfect. It's not 100%, and I definitely want to try and make another axe in the future. But you know, we've got a handle on the axe head and it's functional. So, yeah, I was able to get the video up. So next week's video is going to be the raising stake that we made several weeks ago. And we're going to start getting a little bit quicker with our projects now that we're not pushing in some of the events videos. So look forward to some of those. And yeah, so that's what I'm working on. I don't get ads, so I can't help. Right? All right. So I think we're good to go. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start by working on this ridge. We're going to shove the like central ridge over a little bit, and then we're going to flip the guy and work on that side as well. So I'm going to put my headphones on because it sounds like ringing a bell in here. Alrighty, so let's see how this goes. Once again, apologies if things start getting a little bit screwy. Let me check my other view there for a second, and we'll see. We can probably put an inset right there. Is this going to, yeah, my hand is in the way. If I go here, will this work a little or any better? Now I'll need to push this over here. And my hand is still in the way. This could be a problem. It's because I'm right-handed, guys. It's because I'm right-handed. Trying to come up with a really good, like, way to go about doing this. Maybe I should just go like so. This will probably be the best way to go about this. All right, let's try this. So inside of here, I have more wax. So you guys can kind of see that that's in there. I wanted to make sure that we did that really early so that you guys, we didn't have to wait for it, I guess. Maybe I just won't put that there. We didn't have to wait for it to cool down. So I've got some more wax when we need it. See if I move this direction, you guys might be able to see a little better. All right, and now I'm gonna try. Okay, there we see. Just use the left then. I wish that was the case, but unfortunately I am not ambidextrous. I am pretty useless with my offhand, unfortunately. This is probably going to be our best bet. Now, ordinarily when I do this, I'm actually usually doing this in my lap, but that's not a very good view. So, you know, we're adapting. But it's all right, I'm adaptive. Are we starting to move it? It looks like we're moving it a little bit. This might take a few. It's going to be a little bit easier for me to hammer my hand from this angle. But that's all right. I'm used to it. We're not doing really, really heavy blows or anything, so it shouldn't be that painful. Maybe if I put this over here, it won't shift so far over. Got to be a little bit careful because as this material is relatively thin, it's going to be a lot easier for me to accidentally poke through, even though I rounded out the chisel that we're using. Ouch. You guys can still see what I'm going or what's happening. Hello, welcome to the stream. Unfortunately, I'm just a little bit where I wish I had my computer on this side of me as I'm talking to the camera, and then yeah. I kind of wish my computer was on this side because I'm right-handed, and so I'm sitting here going like this. And I can kind of look at the camera relatively easily, but I have to kind of move over this direction in order to kind of see your comments. So I'm going to try to be a little bit more diligent about that. So today, like I said before, we are decorating our Mandalorian pauldron. We started working this on Monday, and we are continuing to work on it today. The plan is to continue working on this on Friday as well. I'm hoping that we'll be done with most of the ridges that that are happening here. Let me give you guys an inset over there. I think that'll work. So yeah, the goal is to finish this central ridge and the outside edge, the trim today as much as I possibly can, and then from there we're probably going to be doing the Mudhorn emblem, because the Mandalorian has a Mudhorn emblem on his armor. As I allow that to slide around. Probably not the best thing in the world. Did that not work? Oh, you guys can see that. It's just my elbow is making things a little bit weird and awkward. Okay. Because of course she would flip over weirdly. She is so nice at saying F off. I'm not trying to say that. I'm trying to like make it a little bit easier for you guys to kind of see what I'm doing and stuff, but I'm a little bit, I don't know. I think my setup needs a little bit of work, unfortunately. So apologies for that. My fingers are all in the way and stuff. All right, so we've got a nice ridge going here. And like I said, I want to press this in a little bit, but I think we're going to start working a little bit on the edging a little bit. We should be able to kind of bring this a little bit closer together with a little bit less of the microcrystalline wax that's in here. It's being a little bit weird. It's not wanting to be a good resist right now. It's being a little bit, maybe it's being a little bit too good of a resist right now. All right. All right, where are we on that? Okay, we should be fine on that. How am I going to go about doing that? Is it working? Maybe. You guys see? I hope you can. Kind of moving a little bit too much. Let me figure things out a little bit. Apologies. It's been a while since I've done this, so I'm kind of trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong, because I seem to be doing something wrong, and I'm not sure what yet. I will figure it out, though. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to start like so. There's the marker. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start by drawing a line around. We need this kind of even around here. And marker's being stupid. There we go. That's better. A little bit. Maybe not. We've got a nice line around the edge that we're starting to draw here. And I think my marker's not working real well. Let's see, do I have anything in my desk that I can use for this? Today's being a little bit awkward. Apologies. Oh, look, I have a white mark. I have a piece of chalk. Y'all might be able to see that a little bit better. So we're going to create an edge line around here. So those are going to be our edges, and we're going to be smacking right along this area here. And then from there, we're going to bring another top line like so. I think that this is going to be how it's going to work. I think. Maybe, maybe not. It might work. But, you know, issues are issues, and it happens to me a lot. Working? Only a little bit. We're not happy. Okay. Sorry, I'm thinking a lot. I had an idea on how this should have happened, but I don't have enough wax to completely fill this guy. If I was able to completely fill this guy, I would have the exact same amount of ease at making the central ridge as these outside edges. So now I'm just kind of like trying to figure out a good way to do this. Hey, you were in the suggested channels. I saw the piece that you're working on in a thumbnail. Are you actually made from metal? Yes, it is real metal. I am a blacksmith and a silversmith, so I'm using silversmithing techniques on a blacksmithing piece right now. I am having a little bit of trouble though because I don't have enough microcrystalline wax. Okay, so this is a piece of steel. So it's 1018 sheet steel. You can kind of see it from my camera right there. And I've actually, this used to be a flat sheet of steel, and I took it over in the forge, and I kind of created a bowl shape. Right now, I'm kind of trying to decorate it. This is going to be the Mandalorian's pauldron, so Din Djarin's pauldron from the Disney show. So I'm trying to put the edging on here, and I didn't have enough wax. Now, the wax acts as a resist, so it kind of slows down the hammer so I don't end up crushing my piece of steel as I'm going. And like I said, I don't have enough yet to completely fill this. So I'm having a little bit of issues. So right now I'm kind of thinking through how to go about doing this. And so I'm probably a little bit like, I don't know. I'm not being an expert right now. I'm kind of just being like, I'm working through a problem in real time. But yes, real metal, real fire. I mean, if you're interested in some real fire, I've got a torch right here, and it turns on and everything. We'll get there eventually. I do actually eventually have to get this wax out of here, so we'll put on the big torch and everything. All right, so let's see. How are we going to do this? All right, so first off, I think I'm going to start from here and like so. We're going to start on this edge. Because I've got plenty of wax there. So I hope that you guys can see what's going on. And I've reached the edge of my wax. So I think what I'm actually going to do next is I'm going to take all of this tape off, right? So I had to fill this guy with wax, and so I needed to tape up the edge so that I had like a wall, and it wasn't going to be, moving on me. Trying to get some wax out of there. All right, now let's redraw our line. For the edge over top of where we had our wax. All right, now I can kind of see things a little bit easier where the metal is moving. So this should actually make it a little bit easier for me. And it's sliding off to the edge. Let's see. I need to see what I'm looking at. Oh, I've got an ad break coming up here shortly. I need to reset my camera real fast. Apologies. This is my first time working in this studio by myself. So I'm having a little bit of random scuff in the stream. So I mean, I totally don't blame you guys for, being a little bit, or, turning off this stream, I guess. I don't know. I need to not say that. That's, yeah. Ouch. Okay. Okay. So we're starting to get a nice line right there. So we're getting a good beginning to what we're trying to do today. So we've got our central line, and we want this line to meet up with this line. So we've got a nice T-split right here. We also have a T-split that it's going to be right up here. So that's kind of, a nice good thing that we need to work out. We're creating lovely ridges, decorations, and whatnot. Right, we're cooking with gas now. If you guys could see, that would make it even better, but But yeah. I'm always really happy to answer people's questions about blacksmithing, about silversmithing, about anything that I do. Today I'm probably going to be a little bit quieter because I am also kind of thinking through this job, but I'm not in the blacksmith shop, but I am. Can you guys see what I'm doing? Yes, you can. Okay. But I'm always happy to answer questions. Got an ad starting pretty quick. One of these days, I'll actually be able to read my own chat. I'm used to having 2 monitors in my other shop, and unfortunately, I only have 1 monitor in this shop. Okay, that's not helping me. So it's fine. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to see my comments, but we'll get there. All right, so we're starting to run out of wax. I guess we're not starting to run out of wax. We're getting a little bit thin on our wax. So this right here is kind of a thinner section of the wax. At least we have some wax. On the opposite side, we don't have any. So it's going to start being a little bit flatter, and we'll be able to fix that when we go from the back side to create the raised ridge. If I touch here, you guys can see that. I'm having a little bit of issue because I'm seeing a delay. If I want to see chat, I kind of gotta, okay, let's see if I can't move my OBS so that it makes it a little bit easier for me to see what's going on. Apologies. I think we're in ad time, so I think it's all right. If I move that like so, then I should be able to do that. Move that like so. Okay. Could you work off a sandbag if you didn't have wax? Yes. And that's why I have this sandbag here, is because I can work off of the sandbag if I don't have wax. And we will get there when we start working on the areas that don't have wax. Now, the traditional resist for this particular process is actually rosin? No, it is, give me a second, it's pitch. So when you cut open a tree and you get like, there's like that sticky, waxy kind of hard, like goo that comes out of the tree, that's actually the traditional resist for this. I'm using microcrystalline wax instead because I have a lot of it and it's a little bit softer, but not too much. It was right there in frame and I didn't see it. Yeah, I mean, I've been putting it underneath of, okay, so right now this is a big old brick of 4140 steel. And I'm using this as an anvil and also a way to prop up our piece of steel, right? And then I've got this lovely paper towel that is making it so that I'm not like digging into the wax directly in with the steel. Sometimes I'm putting the sandbag over top of that to kind of give me a little bit more cushion. Sometimes I'm not. It depends on where I'm at in this process. But yeah, that's kind of what's going on so far. And I apologize that I'm, like I said, I'm a little bit discombobulated today with the new shop and being alone and whatnot, and I apologize for that. So I hope you can still kind of learn a little bit from what we're doing today. May not be learning the most, but some. All right. And like I said, typically when I'm doing this, I'm actually working on my lap. So I'm working a little bit higher than I normally do, and I'm working a little bit differently than I would normally. And part of that is just that I'm, you know, this is the first time I've done this in quite some time, and it's also that I'm trying to make it so that it's a little easier for you guys to see. If I moved this over here, you guys might be able to see that a little easier. All right, let's see. The edges are always a little bit harder to do than the central area because the edges always like to really flatten out. So eventually, we're going to go back to the actual anvil and we're going to be using the edge to kind of true up all of these corners. But that probably won't be for a little bit anyway. I just want to make a little bit of an indentation that you can kind of see on the interior side of this so that it gives me a little bit of a line to kind of go against on the inside of this piece. I don't need a lot, just enough. We're going to get most of our movement and most of our shape from the interior of this. Kind of trying to hold this up a little bit higher so that you guys can kind of see, and you aren't seeing from that angle, I think. Is that better? Worse? No, this way. And you can't really see where I'm at anyway because of where my hand is. Okay, so what if I move the camera up a little bit? Can we see now? A little bit. I think that's better. So we've kind of gotten a little bit of a denotation right here along that chalk line that we've created on both this side and this side. So you can kind of start seeing it as it changes shape. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to keep on going along this edge here all the way around that top section. So like I said, we don't need too terribly much, just enough that I can actually see where I've made this line. Because like I said, we're going to get a lot more of our shape from the inside on the top line. See if I can't figure out a nice way to get that in there. Gotta kind of shove it up in there. Maybe that's a little easier. Hey, Rabbit Scotsman. Welcome to the stream. I'm struggling a little bit, and I apologize for that. Let's see if I can't. I don't know if you guys can see that well. I don't know. I'm kind of hitting my head on the thing. I need a better angle at this. This is my own fault for kind of doing this weird tabletop setup. Apologies. What is... Okay. We're not doing so hot today, guys. I'm sorry. We'll get better as I use this shop. This is, like I said, this is my first time using it alone, so I'm having a little bit more issues than I would normally. You guys remember my first couple streams, or some of you guys remember my first couple streams where I was in the blacksmith shop. It was a little bit awkward and discombobulating. And now I'm standing, and the reason I'm standing is because I got a little bit easier of an angle here. But it's not working as well as I want it to still. Maybe if I do this, is that going to be easier? It probably is going to be easier. Yeah, it's easier for me. But I don't think you guys can see, so... It's the best way to do this. It's all right. You can't know everything about this setup until you really use it, right? This is like my second time using it. And unfortunately, it's just, I kind of feel like I don't know. I think this camera right here is the one that's bothering me, right? It's not doing what I need it to do. I want you guys to be able to see what's going on, but it's on the wrong side, for one, and it is not giving you guys a very good view. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fix this, because you know what? I'm a big girl, and I can fix things on my own. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that. And I have another tripod that we're going to use. And I'm going to move this camera onto a different tripod so that maybe you guys can see a little bit better. So if I go as tall as I possibly can on this camera tripod, and I move this table over here, I am kind of having to move things a little bit that weren't meant to be moved, if that makes sense. Okay, let's see if I can't move Okay, I want this whole thing on this side, so I can move that like so. Now I'm going to take this camera off of this mount. If I can get it off, that is. Goodness gracious. What is going on with this mount on this camera? Oh, I have to go this. Is this the way I go or that way? Oh, aha. I got it. I got it, guys. I got it. This is amazing. Okay, and now this tangly spaghetti, I have to kind of figure that one out. So apologies for all this scuff. But you know what? I think it might actually work a little bit better after I mess with this. Okay. All right. Is that going to be better? Okay. All right, so this lens is a little bit awkward. Maybe that's why it was the way it was. All right, we're gonna try this. Let me know if this is any better. Set that. Okay. All right. We shall see. Apologies. The butler leaves and the whole setup needs to be rebuilt, right? Yes, I try to be a big girl and smart and capable all on my own. It's not nearly as close as it was before because it's a lot higher. I can't use a good close-up lens on this camera, or I will have to change the lens on this to give us a better view, I think. But I don't have a lens right now. I don't know where the butler keeps the lenses. So, Well, now I feel like, Now I feel like the tall one up there, the close-up lens, is actually a little bit better for a wide almost. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to be better and what's not going to be better. Maybe if okay, so that's really high. Maybe if I lower that. I'm going to do this again because I don't really want you guys to get like really, really disoriented as I'm doing this. Okay, if I lower this, okay, we're getting a better angle now of the desk. That's a lot better. Okay, how's this one? Is that a little better? We're being experimented on. You are being experimented on. I'm trying really hard, guys, to kind of give you a decent view of this, but my hand, like, I feel like from here you should be able to get a much better view of what I'm actually doing than having you all the way over there. So if I do that, okay, now I've got a nice inset for you guys. Okay. Okay. Now, hopefully this works. And this is exactly what I'm used to, is bracing this against my chest. Hopefully you guys can see that a little bit better. Yay! I think this is better. I'm a big girl and I don't need no man. All right, can you guys see that a little bit better? I think you can. Honestly, I think the butler was just trying to get a little bit more complex than we really needed. We've never had any overhead shots before. All right. Ouch. This is what I get for missing. My ouches aren't like really big ouches or anything. I'm gonna say ouch a lot if I miss, but like it's a little bit of nothing. It's just a little bit of nothing. I'm sorry. It's kind of a reflex to say ouch. I'll try to be a little bit more aware because it hurts, but it's like barely a hurt. All right. How you guys like this? Is this better? Hey, Kiri, welcome to the stream. I'm going to change the views. So today we're a little bit scuffy because we are now in the new silversmithing jewelry shop. And I know that you're very familiar with that. So I'm using jewelry and silversmithing techniques on my steel. This is our pauldron that we've been working on the past few days. It is made out of, or it is made in 1019 low carbon steel. This started as a sheet, and we used raising to create the lovely round area that we're doing right now. And now we are doing some chasing and repoussé to create ridges and decorate our pauldron. So I'm having a little bit of trouble because I'm down here all by myself in my shop. On Monday, which was the debut of this shop, I had my partner, the butler, down here with me, and to kind of help me work through the kinks. So now I'm working on my own, and I'm finding that I think the butler went a little bit overboard with the design or like camera design. So I'm having a little bit of, I'm having to work through some bugs and some scuff, trying to give you guys the best view. I had a camera over here and it just wasn't doing it. It wasn't giving you guys a good close-up view. It wasn't giving you guys a good mid view. So I moved the camera, it's right there, and it's probably not the bestest view, but I kind of got to figure out what's a nice view. So if you guys have any suggestions, do let me know. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I hope that you have some fun. On Friday, we are going to be doing a little bit of piercing, which is probably something that you guys know a decent amount about with, you know, talking to Kiri. A stream always in the works, right? It's what I get for, you know, wanting to expand my repertoire a little bit. So, because I mean, I love blacksmithing. It's probably one of my favorite things to do, but I also love silversmithing, and I just can't not share that, my version of it with you guys. So yeah, we are combining the two this time, and, you know, doing a little bit of chasing and repoussé. You mean the camera configuration is a bit overbuilt? Yes. So I got a ring light up here, and I got a camera, and it's like all, and then the laptop is over here, and it's just like a whole big conglomeration. But I am like right-handed, and so I hold my chisel with my left, and it was getting in the way of the camera, and yeah, so we're doing what we can. I'm fixing it as we go. So we're a little bit scuffy today, so thank you for putting up with me and my craziness. Keep expanding. Yes, all the stuff. So like I said, I'm not just a blacksmith. I do silversmithing. I do jewelry. I do casting. It'll probably take me quite a while to get to casting here on stream because that's just a really, really difficult process. It takes quite a few people to like make all of the components work. So for now, I'm going to focus in on blacksmithing, silversmithing, and jewelry. In the future, when, you know, the stream and the YouTube start giving us some good, you know, advertiser money, you know, from like sponsorships and stuff, maybe we'll have enough money to hire someone out to help me out with some of the casting stuff. But in the meantime, I think this is a pretty broad category, I guess. So, yeah, like I said, if you guys have any suggestions for like where I should put the close-up camera, do let me know. Definitely not here because this is just a bad place to put it. I'll figure something out, but for the moment, I think this is doing all right. All right, let's see. So we're gonna do that for the moment. And I'll probably switch the insets. And how did you find the camera setup I did for you? Well, after I completely altered it, it was okay. Okay, thanks, right? Well, I mean, eventually I will alter everything anyway, because like right now I'm on like autofocus, and you guys know how much I hate autofocus. So, I mean, we got to get rid of that eventually too. But right now, I got to figure out where the camera needs to be so that I can position things correctly. I am bracing this with my chest, so if it is acting weird with the sound, please do let me know. I don't want to blow out your eardrums because I'm using my sternum to brace my hammer blows. So we're putting in edge trim on this piece of steel. You can kind of see where I've created this nice line where I want to put this edge trim. My normally I would do this with a Sharpie, but my Sharpie's like all dried out. So we're doing it with chalk, and it kind of wipes off every few. So we'll have to fix that a little bit as we go. So I will say that on Monday, the butler said that he was not satisfied with the close-up camera placement, and he tried to fix it, but he wasn't happy with it, and I wasn't happy with it. So we'll see if this works any better. But yeah. I'm getting pretty good at this whole camera thing, so, you know, I can try things too. I don't have to wait for him to fix it for me. That's not chalk, that's soapstone. You're right, it is soapstone, but for me, I don't know why I always call it chalk for no reason. It is soapstone. Soapstone and chalk are not really even that similar, to be honest. Welcome to the stream, Bubba. Alright. You know what? I got a drawer that just won't close. Because I built this thing. I built this bench. And I'm really bad at woodworking. So I built this whole drawer that doesn't actually close. And it's kind of preventing me from getting a good angle. This is really actually the first time I've used this bench for anything substantial since I moved. So, I don't know. Seems to be doing all right. All right, so I've got a nice line that's starting. You can kind of see where the scale has kind of moved out of the way. So that's where that line is being created. Can't really see a too big of an indent there, but it is there. I can barely see it. So we're going to continue working all the way around this, and then we're going to get rid of the microcrystalline wax, and we're going to come from the opposite side using the sand bag. Because all we want to do is make a nice trim. All right. So I'm going to do this for a moment, and then I'm probably going to put an inset over here of what I'm doing a little bit closer. Because I'm not entirely sure whether I like the inset better, or if I like the inset of the close-up better, or if I like the other better. Let me know if you would like the inset in the big version, or, the close-up as the inset, or whatever. I'm trying to say things. Goodness gracious. Scuff today. Alrighty. I'm not missing anything too yet. Alright, let's keep going. Oh, I know what that is. There's a tiny bit of, dust coming out of my sandbag. Ever so tiny. It's alright, though. We don't mind it. Alright, we're getting back to the point where we've got some wax. So I should be able to just get back to where we were before. So let's do this. Hey, things are working out for me a little bit easier now. Because we have the wax now, we can start kind of seeing that we're creating a separation between the central area and this ridge, which is the edging that we're going to be doing for this piece. I've got to be a little bit careful around here because we have reached a corner. So I want to make sure that I go over both edges of this corner equally so that they meet nicely. We are now reaching a point where we don't have any wax, and so it's starting to kind of shimmy inside. We should be able to fix that by going from the inside in a few. I'm starting to feel a little bit more confident about this setup. Okay, cool. We're getting it. Haha. But yeah, much better, much more better. We're getting a nice edge there. So we got to continue working on this side as well as on the opposite side. Did we see the butler on camera today? If so, I missed it. We did not see the butler on camera today. The butler is actually at work again. So Monday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day here in the United States. And so they had the day off. So they spent it helping me here, trying to get this setup up and running so that I could work on it. Because we're getting some very cold days. So when it gets down below 10 degrees Fahrenheit, I can't get the lights to turn on in the blacksmith shop. So I don't want to have to skip streams just because it's cold outside. So it makes it a lot easier if I can come in here and do some small scale stuff with you. So I had started planning this in the summer of last year, and we're finally getting to the point where we can work in here for once. So now this is my first time in here alone. And, all right, what's happening? Yeah, so this is my first time in here alone, and I'm a little scuffy. Because I'm all by myself, and I kind of got to figure out what I'm doing, how I want the cameras to go, you know, that sort of thing. If you're interested in seeing what the butler looks like, I do have a video that features him, and that is the behind the scenes for Quad State video. That came out on the 31st of December, I think. Over on YouTube. The butler tries to be relatively anonymous when it comes to my stream because the butler is in a union. And if the butler is like not necessarily caught per se, but like if it becomes an issue, I would have to start paying the butler. And I don't have enough money to pay the butler to come and help me a lot. So, you know. We try to keep the butler relatively anonymous. Most of the butler's coworkers know what I do, and they've actually seen my channel. And it's not been a problem, but it could become a problem at some point in the future, and we just don't want that to happen. Let's put that inside. Your camera keeps freezing. I imagine it does. I'm having a little bit of issues because let me take a look at what's happening. Okay, so I'm having a little bit of issue where the internet like I have a Wi-Fi node right up there, and I have a node way over there, and I don't think it can decide which node it wants to get the internet from, and so it's starting to kind of like be a little bit iffy. I was having the same issue on Monday, so I need to get a wired connection to this shop, and I haven't gotten a chance to do so yet. So unfortunately, we're going to be a little bit scuffy. The buffering corrects itself. It's not just you. The main Twitch channel is buffering now too. Oh, okay. So it's not just me. See, I was worried because, you know, we're having some storm forecasts and wind, and, you know, also, like I said, I'm not amazingly confident about the internet situation in this particular shop because I just haven't done a lot of it yet. And yeah. So I'm doing my best. But yes, we're going to be a bit scuffy today. Unfortunately, Scuff has visited us. All right, we're going to put this under here so we're not flattening things that I don't want flattened. We have reached another corner. So I got to make sure that I'm a little bit on the careful side. Make sure that I don't flatten the corner too much. And in this setup, I can't tell when the ads are about to happen very well. So apologies for that as well. Okay. Let me grab a drink real fast. Kiri's stream was very smooth today, so quite honestly, I would rather expect the issue with Ray's internet connection. That's probably what it is, right? I notoriously don't have the best internet connection when it comes to streaming, and I was already having problems with this on Monday, so I really think it's probably my internet connection. I need to get, like I said, I need to get a wired connection down here, and I am seeing that it is like just freezing. It says I'm excellent right now. But if the problem is your laptop switching between two across points, why not unplug one of them while you are streaming? That's probably a good idea. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Maybe I will try that for Friday stream, because we'll be down here again too. We're going to be doing a little bit of piercing. For the piercing, I will probably actually put the camera back on this thing because the piercing it has a pretty good view of, but not this. Not this. My head is all up in the way. Hey, Lexi. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. How are things in the Australias? So yes, apologies. It is likely my internet. I'm not 100% on it's my internet, but I'm probably about 89% sure it's my internet. Like I said, I'm notorious for that. I do what I can, though. Okay, I do have some wax there, so let's see if I can't use that wax to my advantage. Woohoo! I'm getting a little bit of scale that like keeps sloughing off. One hit me in the nose. That's the best. This seems to be working a lot better. I'm not sure yet. I haven't crawled out of bed to check. Man, I hear ya. I would be all over that. Just being in bed all day. I don't get to do that though. Although I imagine that you're not in bed all day anyway. It's just like super early. All right. Getting some good edges. Trim. That's a better word for that, guys. That's a better word for that. I gotta be a little bit. Ooh, I ripped my piece. I can fix that, but I'll just have to be a little bit more careful. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there is a tiny tear in the steel right here. So I got to be a little bit more careful. I'll be able to fix that. Here, I can actually probably fix that right now. Let's do that while we've got it moving. All right. So I haven't fixed the tear, but it's not going to tear as badly anymore. All right. Got a nice line developing all around here. And that's exactly what we want to see. And I think I'm also going to go through this central area one more time before I take all of the wax out of here. We're moving towards the area where I am out of wax again, unfortunately. So I'm going to need to use a little bit of the sandbag again. I can't like stuff it up in there. Might help a little. I don't know. We'll see. Here. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Something. Goodness. Wonders. I wonder as I wander. All right. We're going to start working on this edge here, and we're probably going to stop around here and take all of the wax out and try another, or like try to get it from the opposite side. I think we have enough of the line established that we should be fine. We're back to a place where we've got wax. The camera stutter might be OBS or the camera transmission because the audio does not stutter. Honestly, I don't know. Let me check OBS real fast, see if I'm getting a lot of frame drops. The CPU is at 16%, so I have no idea why it's being frame droppy. Crazy. But yeah, I'm getting a lot of frame drops. I apologize. Because, I mean, the laptop should have plenty of, like, you know, RAM and stuff. I mean, it's been fine up until now, and there hasn't been any, like, crazy updates or anything, so... it probably cannot get rid of the frames through the internet connection. See, that's kind of what I expect. I really think it's internet related. So, apologies. Apologies. Something to work through for this shop. Alright, where are we going to lose our internet? We're going to lose it about there. Okay. Oh, okay. That works too. Check that out. We got rid of our wax, so I should be able to use the wax like so. I actually like it when this happens because then I can like move around the wax and I don't have to work quite as hard to figure out where it's at. But I think we'll be all right. We've got a nice line all the way around here, so I think what I'm going to do is maybe we're going to go on the interior side of this. Let's see, is that... Okay, so the line is right there. Where do I want that to start? Right there. I think we're going to take this and we're going to put it in the wax melting pot. Mass wax ejection, yes. So that's kind of what it looks like. You know, the wax in there. So let's stick this in here. So it can start melting for our next process. We're going to want to put the wax back in here eventually. I think I'm making this a little too thin, so we'll go over a little bit closer this way. That's better. What was the wax for? Thank you so much, Woodprint Lab, for that raid. Okay. So I have this hollow vessel, right? So it used to be flat and now it's all rounded and stuff, right? So the wax is there to kind of be movable, but not movable enough to collapse the whole thing, right? If I were to just hammer straight down on this piece of rounded steel, it would just kind of go splat, right? You get a giant dent in it, and it would not be pleasant. It would just, it just look like a giant dent, like what you would get if you, ran into a car with a bike, right? So filling the interior with wax creates kind of like, it allows the metal to move without allowing it to collapse. Does that make sense? So basically, I want to make sure that I can move the material but not crush it. And so I use wax. The traditional way to go about doing this is to use pitch and have a pitch bowl. So pitch is like goo that comes out of a tree. It's very sticky. It tends to come from like evergreen trees like pines and like pine trees. Anyway, it's very stiff, and but it softens when you heat it up. So you heat up the pitch, you fill your piece of armor or your vessel or whatever you're doing with it, and then you can hammer on it without it collapsing. So yeah, that's what the wax is for. In theory, anyway. In theory, I should have a lot more wax, and I don't. I had more wax, and I was going to throw it in the pot, but right now it is in the shape of a bust. So I sculpted my own head. You can kind of see it up there. There's one of them up there, and but the wax one is hollow. And there were some bugs that got in there and laid some eggs in the wax, so I got to clean it before I can melt it. So I'll get more wax eventually. So right now I'm actually using the sandbag for the exact same reason. It moves just enough that I can create lines and divots, but it's solid enough that it's not going to collapse on me. Not getting much of a indentation with this. You can't really see much there. I think I need to hammer it a little bit harder, or go over it a few more times. So reinforcement, yeah, backing material. Exactly, that's exactly what it is, right? So like I said, if I were to hammer just like so with nothing underneath of this, it would crush it. Or I would rip a hole in it. with the backing, I don't have to worry as much about that. So we're doing what we can. We're going over it. Again and again, and eventually it'll do what we want it to. Whoops. Man, I drop things here and in the regular shop, man. What is my issue? No. Of course I'm going to drop things here. I'm very good at dropping things. So another place that you can actually do this, and sometimes it makes it easier and sometimes it makes it a little bit harder, is you can actually do this on the edge of an anvil if you've got more straights. Right now I have a very curved edge, so it's going to be a lot harder for me to use the anvil to fold this over. But I could theoretically hammer like so and kind of fold it. I have done that in the past, but for this particular job, I want to do some repoussé because it's going to be a little bit cleaner, and I'm not going to risk ripping my steel as much. So yeah. It looks like we didn't reset the drop counter over after the last one. Hey, Blue Red, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the scuff session. So we're a little bit scuffy today, unfortunately. I believe if you want to reset the command, I think it is... maybe not. I did have a reset. I just don't know what it was. I don't know. I'll have to look it up after the stream. Looks like we're in the middle of an ad, which is all right. Good time for me to take a drink. I've been talking quite a bit. And it also means that I need to reset my camera. So I'm going to do that real fast. We're going to reset the camera and see what happens. Can I get it any closer? That's the thing, right? If I can get a little closer, that would make me happy. But maybe I can't. I don't know. I'm trying. We're a little scuffy. We're testing out the setup, seeing how it works, seeing how it doesn't work. Hey! Mahalo, you figured it out. I knew it was something. So then you gotta hit the drop counter again so we can add the 1. I don't know that I made an edit command necessarily for those ones, but you might be able to. So I don't know. I'll have to figure it out later. Yeah, it might need a edit com. I don't remember the Nightbot syntax. Yeah, I like I said, I'll probably end up. I'll see what I can do editing it after the stream. I don't want to sit here and like figure it out while you guys watch me. You know. So I think I'm gonna continue working on our pauldron, and then maybe once the stream is over, if I remember, fingers crossed, I remember, and then we'll be able to do that. We're starting to get a little bit of an edging, a little bit of a trim. It's not quite as easy to see as this one is, but it's there. I can barely see it. How are we doing on melting wax? Because I have an idea. Not enough. We don't have enough wax just yet. We don't have enough wax yet. So it seems to be working pretty well. I need to go over this a few more times because we definitely need to go a little bit deeper. That's better. You can kind of start seeing it. Start seeing it. So you can kind of see that I am holding my hammer a lot differently than I would normally hold a blacksmithing hammer. When I'm holding a silversmithing hammer, oftentimes I have a finger like really, it's up. Sometimes it's on the spine of the hammer, and sometimes it's like closer up this way. This gives me a lot more control. Now, you wouldn't want to do a full-on blacksmithing hammer blow with this because you would damage the tendons that hold your pointer finger in place, and you know it would be rather uncomfortable, and you'd get injured very quickly. But these little taps that I'm doing here, they work beautifully with this. Like I said, you get a lot more control, and you get just enough power that your metal will move. So it works quite well. But this is also an incredibly light hammer, so I don't have to worry as much. All right, cool. We're getting there. Things is working. Things is working. Now I got to be really careful because my knuckle is getting really close to the edge of the, and I want to make sure that's why I'm using my finger to get that extra control, because it's super close to my knuckle and I definitely don't want to smack it. Oh, is it barely a hammer? More of a down. Yeah, it's like more. I'm not really using my wrist necessarily. I'm mostly just like bringing down the hammer. different jobs require different hammer blow techniques. You do not want to smack it, okay? But if you do write it up as a teaching tool, right? I mean, I have smacked my, like, right here a couple times today already. I just don't really want to smack my knuckle, like, right here, because that one hurts a lot more than just hitting, like, the side of my finger. Yeah, the knuckle hurts a lot. I'm going to try and bring this over here a little bit. Woohoo! That counts as a drop, guys. That counts as a drop. All right. This is where it's going to start getting a little bit more difficult because we're instead of allowing it to just sit here like that, we're going to have to kind of hold it up like so as we're going so that we can get that same, angle. This is where it's going to make it a lot easier to actually hammer my hand. Seems to be working pretty good. We're getting a nice corner going there. I like that. What the cold forming? Yes, we are doing cold forming right now. The reason we're doing some cold forming is because it's just easier to work this way. So we will obviously be work hardening the piece, and we'll have to heat it up nice and hot to soften it up a little bit. And we'll probably go back into the shop a little bit next week, or into the hot shop a little bit next week to kind of refine some of these shapes a little bit on the edge of the anvil. But for today, we're kind of roughing in these shapes. Like I said, on Friday, I'm planning on doing a little bit of piercing, which is cold sawing. So right now, instead of doing blacksmithing, we're doing some silversmithing with, steel. Yep, because I'm inside and not in the forge. I am just afraid of the cold, guys, okay? I'm super afraid of the cold. It is like in the teens today, and I'm not thrilled about it, and it's going to be lower than 10 degrees Fahrenheit all weekend, and I don't do cold very well. No one will want to be outside Friday in the Midwest. Yes, exactly. Nobody wants to be in the on the outside over the weekend. It's going to be awful. So I am doing a little bit of silversmithing. So maybe this is disappointing. I think it's fun, you know. It's kind of an expanding of our repertoire. It's not a permanent thing, but it's something. Something new, something exciting, something fun. All right, we are getting that exactly the way we want it. Exactly. Well, not exactly, because, you know, close. Close to exactly what we want. The armor from the Mandalorian, but does not look anything below 20 degrees Celsius to 68 Fahrenheit. Quite happy at 40 Celsius, 100 Fahrenheit. Yeah. I would rather be in the hot than in the cold. Personally, I won't lie. I don't mind the heat. I absolutely despise the cold. If they have strong muscles, they eat hearty food and they can keep warm. Yeah, I don't eat enough hearty food. And even if I did, I can't keep any padding around. I have high metabolism, so I have to eat like constantly and I can't gain weight. It's kind of like can be annoying. I think the butler's home. I think the butler is finally home. Yeah. So I'm in the house today, and so the butler just got home, and I can hear footsteps on the ceiling because I'm in the basement of my house right now. Hi, butler. Of course, you will have to eat a lot, right? I've been here 7 months, and yesterday was the first day I was able to work outside in the heat all day. Almost got the roof done on the office shop. Ooh, that's exciting. New shop, or, new parts of the shop. No, it's going to be fun. The butler has been working from home, except for that they had a shoot outside, so they had to go to their shoot. And now maybe they're working from home some more, and it's like that way, like, I don't know, 20 feet, 15 feet, something like that. So if they have a conference call, they're going to have to like go upstairs or in a vehicle or something, because I'm pretty loud over here. Yes. All right. We're getting there. Slowly but surely, we're starting to get a nice edge going in there. I'm pretty happy with that. It's working very nicely now. Ouch. I'm not having any issue with the hammer right this second, but I am having a little bit of issue with the pauldron hitting me in the wrist on my left hand, the hand that I'm using to hold the chisel with. The best, guys, the best. Alright, I gotta figure out what I want to do there. So I'm gonna skip the central area right here because I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with this. So we're gonna skip this and we're gonna go all the way over to this side. We'll start working on this side. As always, thanks Butler for tolerance, persistence, and metal supplies. Yes! We always thank the Butler. The Butler is very kind and generous to allow me to do this. Alright. Do I want to keep going around the same circle or do I want to start from on this edge? Over here. I think I want to continue going around. So we're going to try, or we're going to start from here. From here. If we can make that work. Alright, there we go. Go over that same section a couple times just so that we can get a nice corner going. And then we'll move it around. Alrighty. 3 cheers for the Butler. Yes. Yes. The Butler thanks you guys too. Alright. Getting lots and lots of sand and scale hanging out around here. Let me clean this up real fast so that it's not all over the place. See, we're at the 2-hour mark, which is about the amount of time that we streamed on Monday. So I'd like to go a little bit longer, even with all the scuff we've had today. All right, I'm gonna get rid of this real fast. This is gonna give me a little bit of breathing space. Whew. So we're going to take a look at this. See, you can kind of see where we've got a nice ridge going on there, and that's exactly what we want to see because the Mandalorian has a ridge around that central area and then all the way around the pauldron. So we are currently creating that right now. It's slow going, but it is definitely worth it. We started over here. I am starting to get a little tired, but I think I can manage to go another 30 minutes. I think I can manage. Let me grab a drink real fast. Okay. And then one more thing, guys. Apologies, I keep getting up and stuff. Alrighty, we should be good to go next. All right. Reset my camera. You should rest before you crash. I probably should rest before I crash, but I think I'll be okay. Oh, I'm not hungry right now. I had a microwave meal, like a TV dinner, for lunch, and that usually fills me up for quite a while. I don't start getting hungry until about 4 p.m., 4:30ish p.m. My time, which is about the 2.5 hour mark here. So I do start to get a little bit on the hungry side when we are, about to end the stream, and that's a pretty good time for me to stop. But I'm all right today. The stream's a bit choppy. Bad Wi-Fi in the basement. Yes, I'm having a lot of issues with the Wi-Fi in the basement because I think it has something to do with either the Wi-Fi extending down through the floorboards, or it might be that it's switching between two nodes. I'm not entirely sure yet. I think this weekend I'm gonna go and test with my alt account. I have an alternate Twitch streaming account where we test some of the new functionality of some of the stuff. So I think I'm gonna see if I can't figure out what it is this weekend. So it is definitely an issue. It's not just you guys. It's something about this setup, and I haven't quite put my finger on what it is. So I will definitely get on that this weekend if I'm going to use this setup, And I am planning on using this setup for, maybe not a lot, but a decent amount, So I definitely need to make sure that I get this taken care of, settled, and fixed. So yeah. We've got an ad coming up in about 2.5 minutes or so. I will be continuing to work through that ad though, because I'm not really doing anything different. There's no like crazy fire or anything exciting. I will make sure that I wait until we're not in an ad. But right now, it's kind of like, the boring ASMR part. Doing all right? Yes, we are. Cool. Mesh Wi-Fi is the answer. Ever heard of EOP, Ethernet over power line? I do actually have wired internet from my from a router, but I don't have one for the basement. And if I can't figure out a good way to get the nodes working, I'll totally drop a cable. And then I've not had any issues with the cable wired internet in since we got all of the internet cabling replaced. a couple months ago. Knock on wood. But the wired internet is great. It's a lot of my issues is because I'm running on Wi-Fi a lot. So I need to wire or drop a wire to this shop. I think I'm all right in the other shop. But I spent a lot of time getting it relatively stable in there. Move this guy around a little bit. There's also the tiniest chance. I just saw the butler go up the stairs, which is like right there, that maybe the butler is taking a look at the internet, but I doubt that. I think the butler has other things that they are doing right now. Like playing with the cat. I'm actually relatively disappointed that the cat hasn't come to visit us since I came in the house. He's probably afraid of the hammer blows, though. I won't lie. I would be if I was him. Well, that was fun. I will be right back. I just dropped the chisel. He is scared of the hammer time, right? He is scared of the hammer, I think. That or he's sleeping. This is his sleepy time. Drop. I have dropped my chisel again. You know, I would be afraid of the MC Hammer myself. Hey, it didn't even reset it. The command didn't reset. That's lame. That's sad. I will have to do something about that. I need the command to actually function. There goes again. It's actually because of the angle in which I am holding the chisel is a little bit awkward. But it'll be all right. I got it. you know. Remember, you can't touch this. I feel like I need some parachute pants now. I was actually kind of young when it came, or when MC Hammer came on the scene. I was in like really young grade school. Little. All right, how's it going? I think it's going all right. It's starting to ripple the outside edge a little bit. And so that's definitely something that we're going to have to address when we get back out into the hot shop. I think that once we get all the way around, we're probably going to leave this at that. And then on Monday, I'll probably go back out to the hot shop and kind of fix this, kind of sharpen up all of the edges. I think it'll work all right for us. So I'm planning on another at least 2 streams on this pauldron. Like I said, one is going to be piercing, which is just me sawing out the mud horn. We'll probably do a little bit more of this trim, or like continuing to finish out the last of it. And then, yeah, we'll go back out to the hot shop, I think, on Monday. I'm hoping, unless it gets super, super cold again. You do. I do need parachute pants. So yeah, I think that's probably what we're going to be doing. I'll probably continue working on this a little bit today. I got about 15 minutes left in the stream. So once that, yeah. So I think I'll keep on working for another 15, and then we'll probably raid off. I gotta get comfy with this setup, guys. Once I get comfy with this setup, then we'll be able to talk about a lot of stuffs. You know, I also think the solution is I have a whole bunch of, like, I have this whole tower of equipment over there, and I think putting it over here might be this another solution. That way I can read your comments a little better. But as we continue using this setup, I will have more ideas on what I want to see and how it's going to work. And hopefully everything works out for us and we're able to come out here and have less scuff every time. Because less scuff is the goal. Kind of feel like I'm one of the, one of the big scuff people when it comes to streaming in the makers and crafters category. I do tend to be very scuffy. Yeah, we're getting it. We're getting it. Alrighty. Hey, Metzlart. Is it bad for the piece of metal to hit it like that? It depends on what you're asking. So are you asking about hitting the chisel like that, the hammer like that, or the pauldron like that? Because each of those has a different answer, right? So the hammer is actually designed to hit on the chisel. Also, the chisel is designed to be hit by the hammer. As I hit the hammer, the chisel, like the back of it, is softer, and so it is designed that it will eventually start mushrooming out. And you can kind of see that there's a tiny bit of mushrooming on this particular chisel. So I could, in theory, go back into my forge and I could hammer back all of this mushrooming and create a nice clean cylinder again. When it comes to hitting the steel, I am using this chisel to shape this steel. I want to give a nice edge trim to this pauldron. So I am using the chisel to create a nice corner line that we are going to expand on in the other shop, which is the blacksmith shop. And so, yeah, like I said, each piece has a little bit of a different answer. Isn't that bad for the piece of metal to be hit like that? So, like I said, it depends on what you're asking. And it's definitely better to hit the metal than my knuckle. Between each blow, I am moving the chisel to make sure that I have it in the correct position and that I am not creating errant marks in here. You answered my question and more. Thanks. Awesome. It looks like a fine job. I hope so. It's been quite a while since I've done these techniques. So it's probably been since at least 2019 since I've done any armor smithing. Over the past year, I've done a lot of blacksmithing after a 4-year break. So yeah, kind of trying to get back into it. It's kind of a exhibition project. This isn't normally what I do in this channel, but it's something that I can do. It's something that I like doing. And I think a lot of other people will like to see me do it. So I kind of doing some different-y stuff. A lot of people throughout the last year have asked me if I make knives or swords. And I much prefer making armor than weaponry. So I figure, the next best thing for a lot of people that, the next thing that people think of when they think about blacksmithing, especially in a community like Twitch that is very gamer oriented, is plate armor. So yeah, figured I'd make some. I think on the whole, the next thing that most people think of when they think blacksmithing is horseshoes. And I don't do that either. Armor. That's interesting. Yeah. So right now, this is kind of an audience choice project. What this is it is the start of the Mandalorian's pauldron from, you know, the Disney Mandalorian show. So I started with a flat sheet, and we created this lovely curved shape. And from here, what we're doing is we're kind of creating the edge. On Friday, I have plans, even if I'm not finished with this edge, to do some piercing, which is a sawing technique. And we're going to make the mudhorn emblem for the side of the pauldron. On Monday, we're going to go back into the hot shop, and we're going to kind of take a look at the pauldron, make sure that we fix all of the flatness or the flat that we've created by creating all of these ridges and the decorations. And then we will go back in and kind of fix the edges. These need to be a little bit more sharp. Right now, they're kind of soft curves. But yeah, and then we'll have a lovely pauldron. I will have to polish it all up because right now it's covered in wax and forge scale. But yeah, eventually it'll be nice and maybe not the shiniest Beskar looking, but it'll look like steel. So yeah. I used to like knives a lot, but never did one myself since I don't have a forge or an anvil. Are you forced to watch it? It's The Mandalorian. I mean, I'm not forced to watch The Mandalorian. I actually enjoyed watching it, to be honest. You don't have to know about the show in order to get the pauldron, I don't think, either. So, you know, you should be fine. Just, you know, you should get some reference just from some of the pictures that I posted in the Discord. But yeah, I don't really like making knives. Oh, maybe I missed the puns. I might have missed the pun. I apologize if I did. So I probably missed it. You know, just like the Mandalorian or like stormtroopers miss their shots. I guess it's more stormtroopers than the Mandalorian. The stormtroopers they shoot at Luke Skywalker and Leia and Han, and they always miss. The top two questions are, do you make knives and do you shoe horses? The third is probably, have you been on Forged in Fire? No, no, and no, but some of my friends have. Mandalorian. Oh, is it mandatory to watch The Mandalorian? Because it sounds Mandalorian? Is that mandatory? Mandalore? Is that what the pun was supposed to be? But yeah, to answer the questions, have I made knives? I have made knives before. I don't like making knives. I've made a sword. I don't like making swords. I don't like making sharps, mostly because it takes a lot of precise grinding, and I hate grinding. I don't do, yes, Mandatorian. See, I finally got it. I had to explain it, though, so I probably ruined the pun. As far as horseshoeing, I do not work with horseshoes. I do not work with horses. Farriers is a career all on its own, and it's kind of a veterinary career, and I do not have the stomach to deal with all of the blights that happen to horses' feet. So I am definitely not a farrier. And I've never been on Forged in Fire. I know people who have been on Forged in Fire, and I have considered being on a different Discovery show that was about metal, but that show never made it to production. And yeah, I've never been on Forged in Fire. I don't like making knives, so what would the point of being on a knife making show be, kind of? I used to get irritated about those questions, but now it's an opportunity to expose about how much grinding sucks, right? Oh, I hate grinding so much. It's like there's that joke that people who are welders make all the time. If you can't weld, then you just become a grinder. Nah. You've got to be a good welder, right? Grinding sucks. And if you weld correctly the first time, then you don't have to grind and it's a stronger weld. But yeah. All right, guys. We have been streaming for about 2.5 hours. I want to thank you all for joining me and sitting through all of the scuff that's been going on while I am transitioning between shops. Like I said, I'm still working on trying to get it a little bit easier and a little less scuffy, trying to figure out a good place to put the cameras and stuff. So I think I'm going to end this stream. I'm starting to get a little bit tired. And yeah, so I think we're going to raid off. Alrighty. So thank you all for joining me today. If you have any other quickie questions, I can probably answer those as I'm finding someone to raid. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Haha, a grinder and paint make me a welder I ain't, right? I heard YouTube say a grinder and paint make the welder I ain't. Yep. Yes, thank you guys so much for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope to see you guys on Friday. Like I said, we're going to do a little bit of sawing to get the emblem for the Mudhorn. The Mudhorn emblem. Let's see, who is on that we can raid? Ooh, Glen Echo Glass is on. Let's go to Glen Echo. Go from silversmithing to glass blowing. Alrighty. Start the raid. Once again, thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will see you guys Friday. Bye!